Hello everyone, I'm Villainous V and this is Warframe for Dummies. Today we'll be talking about missions and fissure missions. I will be talking about the regular missions corresponding to the fissure missions. Now, I know currently I'm not on camera and I would know you would love to see my wonderful face, but I want to go over all of these just for you guys. So, here's what you need to know. Alright, so as you can see, this is a Exterminate mission. This is actually particularly one of the Invasion Exterminate mission types. That's the exact same type, it's called Exterminate. Now, you'll see at the top left, right here, is the number of enemies you will have to, exterminate throughout the entire mission. And your job is to kill everything in sight. Now, once you have completed the amount of kills for the mission, or the bar is complete, or you see on your mini-map the little green dot, then your mission is done, and I would suggest going towards the exit. Now, in a fissure mission, you will be getting something called a reactant. Now, this will drop throughout the mission, but will be particular types of enemies that are glowing golden. You will also see what looks like these small golden storms, and your job is to make sure that the enemies get hit with this golden storm to convert them into the fissure to then be able to get this resource that's only within game so that you can get 10. Now you need 10 reactant, and that's what it's called, reactant, in order to complete any fissure mission, whether it be the whole mission, part of the mission, or just the wave. Now, if you do not complete this part, if you do not get 10 reactant, you will not get the fissure reward. So when you're doing relics, that is essentially the exact same thing. The fissure mission is you opening up your relic, and if you do not get the reactant that is required, which would be 10, you cannot open up the relic. Now, it does not discard the relic. It just will not open. So you'll have to do either another mission, or you'll have to go do the thing again. Now, if you do not get enough reactant and you are playing with other people, you will not be able to choose any of the selected rewards. Now, that's very useful knowledge, because if you are playing with other people and they are attacking willy-nilly, you might want to say, hey, listen, we're halfway through the mission and we only have 3 reactant. We need to be a little bit smarter on what we kill. So this mission type is called Crossfire Exterminate. Now, it's the exact same thing we just went over with Exterminate, but you have Grineer and Corpus. I really don't know how else to explain that even further, so we're going to cut this one super short. Alright, this next mission is called a Capture Mission. Now, this is very simple. All you need to do is hurt and down one enemy. Now, when I say that, I mean you will have to reduce their hit points to 0. And then afterwards, you will have to subdue them and then quote-unquote capture them. Now, I'm playing on Xbox, and I know the footage is a little choppy, but that, it is what it is. You will have to press X, and as soon as you do, the target is subdued, you captured them, and then you can run to the end, as you see with the footage I have right now. Now, that all being said, the relic portion of this, or the fissure mission, as you can see at the top left, you have that circle you need to fill. It's 10 out of 10 reactant. Now, for the strategy for this one is either before you get close enough to the target you need to capture, I would suggest either farming all the reactant then then go capture, then leave, or capture the target first, and then get your reactant. Either way, you need to make sure you get to the target first before they get into their protective area. But again, this is a very easy, very simple mission you can do solo, or anyone technically can do solo. Alright, now we go into our next mission type, and it is the exact opposite of a capture mission. This one is called a rescue mission. Now, it's very easy. Again, you don't really need to be stealthy for a rescue. You just need to go in there guns a-blazing and get the person who is captured out. Now, once you get towards the holding cell at earlier levels, there will be a bit of a stealth option. There's also multiple ways of getting in. Now, when you do get to higher levels, there will be an alarm that is set off as soon as you walk in the door. And you will need to immediately get to the holding cell area. Now, while in this holding cell area, you will be faced with probably one of the hardest portions of the mission, which is being shot at while trying to hack into the console. Now, if you do have a decent crowd control frame, you will be able to subdue anything that tries to hit you. Now, if you do not, but you have other players, either you can help them for them to open up for them to hack the consoles, or for you to defend, or vice versa. Now, there's not just going to be one holding cell, there will be multiple, and you will have a timer set. As you can see in the current footage, I just got into the holding cell. Now, there are some secret paths to get into the holding cell without having to go through the front door. If you know where they're at, awesome. If not, it is what it is. You learn as you play. Sometimes people even show you, or you'll see them and go from there. Now, once you have got the guy, you can give him your sidearm or secondary weapon, and you guys can both shoot on the way out. Some people say sure, some people will tell you later in the game, don't do it. As soon as you grab the guy, you get out immediately. Now, for the relic portion of this, I would highly suggest doing one thing and one thing only. Before you get the guy, get all your reactant first, and then rescue him. Because as soon as you get him, you want to get out as fast as you can. Now, he can be downed and he can be bleeding out. In this case, you will need to immediately grab him and go. Now, if you want to be daring, one of the things you can do is run straight to the exit even though he's bleeding out. As long as he does not reach 0 and die, you will complete the mission. Now, the next mission type is called Spy. It's very easy. Unlike the other mission types, this one you will go in and steal 3 vaulted information. Now, in each vault, there will be beams, there will be barriers, there will be obstacles in your way. You will also have to hack the consoles in order to get what you're trying to get after. Now, I would highly suggest using stealthy frames like Loki or Ivara. You can use other frames, and that is entirely between you and whatever floats your goat. Mine's usually Ivara, and that's with the one augment that lets you go through everything and anything with her prowl. That being said, you're also very slow. Now, when it comes to the fissure portion of this, when you do a fissure spy, as long as you complete the mission and as long as you get your reactant, you can get in and out and done. Now, sometimes a spy mission will require you to get a set amount of vaults cracked, I would make sure you practice the minigame for hacking for every faction. Sometimes you can get away with using a cipher or two, but I would still try to use them. Now, as we continue along the active seeking and or killing missions, the next one I'm going to go over is another simple one. It is called the Assassinate mission. This mission is, again, very simple. You're going to go kill one guy and then get out. I really don't know how else to do this one for you. This one does not, on the other hand, have a fissure mission attached to it. But your main thing is to get inside, find the target, kill the target, and leave. If you do kill enemies along the way, either by building up combo count, or if you are one of those players who goes in and kills everything along the way and tries to grab any lockers along the way, try to do that solo. Combo count I can understand, but if you're trying to open up everything along the way and everyone else is waiting on you because you're trying to do this, please play that solo. But this is a very easy mission type. It's get in, kill the thing, and get out. Some of them you'll have to do particular things, and you will learn as you play the missions. They will also give you hints, or Lotus will give you hints as to what you will need to do in the middle of the mission in order to defeat whatever boss you're going after. Now, this next mission is very interesting, because this mission is called Hive. You will need to find the 3 hives, and once you find the hives, you will need to find the corresponding boils and pop them in order to pop the big boil, and that is pretty much the mission. If you are doing this and it is a relic mission, it doesn't matter as long as you do not complete the mission without all the reactant that you will need. It's very easy to do this mission. To find it, you will see a kind of a yellowish orange particles that go around the boils you will need to pop. Once you pop those particular boils, the next thing you will need to do is pop the center one, and you can, as long as you can damage them, you'll be fine. Sometimes you will even be able to follow a trail of that yellow particles from the big center boil. The footage here doesn't actually show it, but they will be able to show it. Sometimes there'll even be red circles on the mini map to tell you, or to at least give you an idea as to where these boils are possibly at. Now, again, you will have to do 3 of these, and they will be in different areas, but they're not going to be too far away from the big boil. So it's not a hard thing to do, but at the same time, you kind of have to look. And you don't have to kill everything, but I mean, when a few enemies are attacking you, why not attack back? Now, the very next mission I'm going to talk about is called Sabotage. Now, I really don't know how else to describe this type of mission, but you're going to go in and you're going to sabotage something. Now, there are multiple different kinds of sabotage missions. All you have to do really is listen to the Lotus. Now, some of them will be a sabotage for a reactor, which will have a cold or a heat core. I don't think this one, I don't think the footage here actually has something like that. It goes in, you just destroy the fuel cells, and then you leave. But there will be some missions where you'll have to go in and remove either the coolant cells or the heat cells. Now, depending on which one you use, if you use the coolant cells and you put it into the reactor, you will have to defend, which we'll be getting into that later, Or if you use the heat cell, you will have to destroy the fuel cells like in this mission. Other than that, if you are doing the fissure mission version of this mission, as long as you, again, complete the mission with all 10 reactant, you will get your reward. Okay, so the very next mission type is going to be called Survival. Now, I know that the mission name itself is super simple. All you do is go in and survive. Very easy. It's a little more complex than that. So, while you're in this mission, you will need to get a in-game resource. And when I say in-game, I'm actually meaning more in-mission resource. And that is the life support. I think it's just called life support. They come in these little boxes, and you'll need to collect them. The only way you can get them is through killing enemies. Now, you will also get a tower of life support that you will be able to use as well. And I think the tower will give you 30 or 40% life support. Now, I know I'm already throwing numbers and information at you, so I'll slow down a little bit. At the top left of the screen, underneath your mini-map, there is going to be a meter which goes from 100% life support to 0. You want to make sure that that life support does not hit 0. When it hits 20%, the Lotus will tell you, and it will glow red, saying, hey, you got like 30 seconds to get life support or get out. Now, if you can get life support before then, kudos. If not, get out. And as soon as life support does run out, it will start chomping away at your shields and at your health, and you will no longer be able to get rewards throughout the rest of the mission. So you might as well leave at that particular point. Now, if you're wondering, well, V, how do I get these towers? Well, the Lotus will be bringing them, and they will be marked on the map. And as you can see currently, I just activated one of the towers. Now, with this, you will be vulnerable for a few seconds. So make sure that there are no enemies around you, or you have a teammate or two that'll cover for you while you activate one. Now I will also add, next to your life support meter, there will be an indicator showing when you have a life support tower and when one is coming in. They will also be marked on the map, their location, and you'll even see them on the screen. The life support tower that is white is one that is delivered and you can access it whenever you need it. The one that is teal is one that will be coming there soon. That being said, this mission comes in waves of 5 minutes. And I'm going to get into another little more complex thing called rotations. Now, each rotation is A, B, and C. But DE decided, in their infinite wisdom, that they are going to go through A, B, C rotations. So you will get 2 rotations of A, followed by a B and a C. In total, 4 rotations, and then it will repeat infinitely. Now, the longer you are in this mission, the harder the enemies will become. So make sure you come in to this mission prepared either for a long time and still a good time. Now, the fissure part of this mission, once you do a fissure survival mission, again, every wave is 5 minutes. So you have 5 minutes in order to get 10 fissure or reactants. So once you get 10 reactants, the rest of the 5 minutes, you are golden. Just make sure that the life support bar is either at 100% or somewhere in the middle. Hopefully on the upper 50s, not lower 50s. If you are doing a mission like this, and say you are 5 minutes in and you need to leave, you can go to the end of the mission and just leave. You can wait. It'll be about a minute before you are able to actually leave. And at this point, just make sure no enemies kill you as long as you are at the end there. And then you will leave the 4-person co-op mission. I know that's a lot of things to say, but DE put this particular part into these types of missions because some people don't want to spend an hour in one mission doing this. Some people just wanted to go in for like 20 minutes and then leave, which you are totally allowed to do. I'm saying some people like to do the latter, not the former. It is for whoever wants to do that. That is exactly what happens during this mission. Now, again, after 5 minutes, you will be able to select a reward and then select another relic to open up. And these types of missions are endless, and you can just keep doing them on and on and on. This is a spoiler alert. Please skip ahead if you do not wish to be spoiled. This mission is called Conjuction Survival. Now, it's the exact same thing as Survival, but a little bit of a twist. So, as you saw, I just ran past a Dax-looking shadow guy, and he roams around as he feels like. There's not really a path he likes to follow, but some of the things you can do near him are summon your necromech. Also, while you are in his range, and that is marked off in shadows, your screen does go from color to black and white, as you can see right here. You can summon your necromech if you also want to inside this mission. And sometimes it's really nice and it's really fun. Now, the second twist to this is, as you just can see, there are 2 new enemy types that just came out of nowhere. Now, these are Thrax units, and they need to be destroyed with your Tenno void powers. I don't know how else to describe that one, but yes, you have to go into your Tenno, and you will have to destroy them from there. This mission type does not have a relic as far as I know, but there is a normal version of this, and there is a slightly harder version of this. So Tenno, make sure you choose wisely. Alright, now I know we've been going on the offense, but now it's time for some defense.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
This mission type is called defense. Now, it's very straightforward. All you have to do is defend the objective. Now, the objective will be a little tube or a person. And your job is to make sure that it does not, and I mean this, does not get destroyed. Now, some Warframes will be able to actually heal the objective, so you should make sure when you are in a team to talk to your fellow Tenno and say, hey, do we have a healer? Hey, do we have someone who can cover the defensive? If not, don't worry about it. Honestly, most of the time, most of the other players are already overpowered as all out. Just go in, do your thing. If you want to be the person who heals the objective, by all means, no one is going to stop you. If you want to pull a little bubble like frost or right over the objective, again, no one's going to stop you. So if the objective is a person, one of the things you can do is you can actually give your sidearm to the person. I think they get like infinite ammo. I don't remember. I don't really usually do those missions, but they do exist. There was something that if you gave them throwing weapons, they would throw them ridiculously fast, and you could almost let the mission do its do its own thing. I don't know if that's still a thing, but it's still fun to just play. Now, if you are doing the fissure portion of this, I will say this much. Again, it is kind of similar to the survival one. Make sure within 5 waves you get all 10 reactant. If you do not get all 10 reactant, you will not get your reward. Now there's no way of stopping it, so try to kill all of the people who get hit by the fusion, whatever you want to call it, the fissure storms. But that is my entire thoughts on this. Again, for defense, whatever Warframe floats your goat. There are some frames who are better at defense than others, but if you're playing with 4 people, honestly, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to talk real quick about one type of Warframe that can be used in 2 different ways, and that Warframe is called Nova. Now, a lot of people, when they do a defense mission, they like a Spova or a Speed Nova. You can also do this, or at least the speed portion, you can also use Equinox, but a Speed Nova or a Spova is when you have negative power strength. Now, what's negative power strength? Anything below 100%. It will actually increase their speed. If you want to make the mission go by really quickly, you want a Spova. Now, the opposite is called a Slova. It's anything above 100%. So you can see having one versus the other would make this mission go by a lot quicker, and a lot of people will do that. Okay, now if you thought defense was easy, mobile defense, on the other hand, is a little bit different. Now, it might be a little bit quicker, but a mobile defense mission is actually kind of fun because you have to go take the objective, a little data mass, and you will have to put it in a computer and you will have to defend that computer. And then once the timer's done, you will have to go on to the next area. Now, that's pretty straightforward. It's not really any different. Nothing really else happens in this mission. One thing you will need to know for the fissure portion of this is that yes, you have to complete the 3 defense portions, but in between you can farm up your reactant, and honestly it's pretty straightforward from there. As long as you get the 10 reactant before you leave the mission. Not the very last thing, but once you get all your reactant, you complete the mission, you leave, you're done. That's it. It's not endless, but that is pretty much all you will need to know about mobile defense. Now, this mission type is going to be called Mirror Defense. Now, it's called Mirror Defense because you will be defending 2 types of objections. Now, I will have to say this is pretty much the exact same thing when it comes to a regular defense mission, but there is a second portion of this that you also need to do. You don't need to do, but it's to give you some extra resources for the citrine Warframe. Now, as you can see in this mission, there will be floating crystals everywhere. And if you do get the required amount, as you can see that there's a little indicator of how many you will need to grab. If you get the required amount, you will be able to actually give your objection a buff and a little bit of its own defensive capabilities. And then after the timer has run out, you will actually need to go through a bit of a doorway to another area. Now, the one thing I actually like about this is it's not just exclusively a Grineer mission. You will also be facing the Corpus as well. So you won't actually be just facing one enemy faction. You'll be facing 2. If you do the Steel Path version of this, or quote-unquote hard mode, you will also be facing technically a 3rd faction, the Stalker Acolytes, But if you really wanted to, you could actually just play this mission solo with a Nova or however you usually play it. Again, going in between the areas is a little bit of parkour, but all you will have to do is defend the objective. You can actually use a Slova in this mission, and it is a time-based, not wave-based mission. So you can slow the enemy down and collect all the crystals, as you see me doing throughout the entire mission. I will also add that every wave is 2 defenses. So when you go through when you do the Grineer side, that's 1, and when you do the Corpus side, that's another 1. That's a total of 1 whole wave. The next wave, you will go back to the Grineer side, and then back to the Corpus side, and vice versa, and it follows the rotation rewards as well. If you do play with other people, if you have 3 people defending and 1 person just going around, sometimes there'll be a Titania to fly around and grab all the crystals, which that's fine. If 1 person just wants to do that, is totally fine. Your weaker teammate might be the one who wants to do that. It's a little bit of a team-based mission, but I think it's a very good one to at least know about. There is only 1 place, and that is on Mars, for a mirror defense. But that is why it's called that. Alright, moving along, we have our next mission type called Excavation. Now, it's very similar to a defense mission. You will have 1 objective you will need to get to, and you will need to defend it. This objective requires power cells. Now, there will be all sorts of enemy factions that will have what looks like a giant battery on their back. As you can see, I picked them up, and you will be forced to use your secondary while holding them. It's kind of like anything you really pick up in Warframe, you'll be forced to use your secondary. Now, you will have to fill up these excavators, and once the timer runs out, you're done. You don't need to worry about it. Every mission will have a set amount of excavative things you need. Each excavator will give, once completed, 100 cryotic. Once the power is at full, it will no longer take any of the power cells, but they sometimes will get consumed if the shields are low. Now, in earlier missions, if you do have a good enough team, or even in late game, if you do have a very good team, one of the things you can do is, if at like 30 seconds, or even you could split the team up into 2 and do them a lot faster. Now, that's only if your team actually agrees to do this. Now, when it comes to fissure missions, this portion, I want you to understand this, and understand this very well. After you complete 2 of these, it will be another wave, and they go by 200. If one does break, it will give you however much had left, or however much it got. Now, they do break, and you don't have to restart, that's fine, but you will have to do another excavator. So if you are doing the fissure mission, you will need to know that one of the tips I will give you is that you should get all of your reactant first, and then do the excavation, or do 1 excavator and get all of your reactant, and then when you have about 8 reactant left, start the excavator, the second excavator, and then you'll be going by a lot quicker. Now, if you do start 2 excavators and have only 2 reactant, don't worry. As long as you do not feed the excavators any power cells, they will sit there and look pretty, but you will have to defend them. As long as you do not hit any of them, you will be fine. If any of them do break, do not sweat it. Now, you also, if you really want to, you can leave after either the first or second one in the middle of the mission. You won't have to stay throughout the rest of them if you don't feel like it. Just so you know, this can become an endless mission. This mission is called Intercept. Now, it is one of the defense type missions, and what you'll need to do is defend 4 hardpoint areas. You will need to be standing within the area, and if you don't know if you are or are not, as you can see, whenever I stand within an area, it will say that I am capturing said area. And it will give me a percentage going from red to white, showing me that I'm capturing it. Now, at the beginning of the mission, if you really want to streamline everything, every one person, since you have 4 players playing at one time, every one person grab 1 hard point, sit there until you have captured it. How do you know if you've captured it? You can see at the top left, right underneath the mini map, there's going to be 4 boxes, A through D. So it's A, B, C, D. And underneath that is a bar. Now the bar will show you how much percentage you will have captured. Not remaining, captured. And you want to get up to 100% before the enemy bar, which is in red. Now, when a enemy does capture a particular intercept hardpoint, you will see it go from blue to red. Now that means you will have to clear out any enemies within that area and just make sure it's not conflicted. Now, if you can even see whenever an enemy is in one of the areas, it'll start flashing red. So that means you need to go over there because they're trying to capture it. Now, the best way to stop an enemy from capturing an area is by killing anyone going anywhere near any of the computers. Obviously, you want to kill anything that's in the area, but go after the ones that are at the computers first. Now, I'm using Nova to slow everything down. That's why I could do this solo. I want to talk about the fissure portion of this. Now, the strategy I usually go with is 1 reactant for every 10%. Now, you can slow this down instead of capturing all 4 and making it a lot harder on yourself. You want to strategize a little bit. Now, you can do capture 2 of them and leave the other 2 uncaptured, or capture 3 of them and just make sure you get up to 10. Well, yeah, once you get up to 10, don't worry about it, capture all of them, and just keep on keeping on. So the next mission is called Disruption. Now, I know what you're thinking, why is it called that? We're not here for that, we're here to figure out what this mission is. So you will have to defend 1 of 4 different podium looking things. And you will have to get these data masks or shields to put on said podium things. The way you find these data masks or shields to put on them, you will have to kill enemies in order to do that. You will have to kill enemies in order to get these data masks or shields. And then once you put them on there, you will either get a buff or a nerf. Something will happen, it will say on screen. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Sometimes it says more Exilist units, or sometimes it'll say stronger key holder, as you can see. Now, at this point, there will be 1 enemy that is gunning for this podium. It is your job in order to find said demolitionist and end their life as quickly as possible. Now, they will have a nullifier field that will go off every now and then. It's more like a pulse, but it will nullify and turn off abilities. So be prepared for that. Now, these enemies are affected by slow. So if you do have Gloom on, they will be slowed down, while the nullifier bubble is not on. When the nullifier bubble is on, they will move as normal. But as soon as it pops off, they slow back down. So it is a good thing to slow them down when you can. Now, how to tell whether or not the enemy you're going after is the actual demolitionist. You will hear a beeping, and in the video you will actually hear the beeping. You'll hear me go through a door, and then you'll hear the beeping, or you won't hear the beeping. Now, I usually only go through one set of door. If I do not hear it whatsoever, I just walk away. I think that's best practice, at least for me. And all you have to do to finish one full wave is complete all 4. Now, regardless of what you do after 4 is done, either you will get a reward, or after you complete 4, and then every 4 after that, you will get a reward. I don't do these missions a whole lot, but I can tell you this much, that this is exactly what normally happens. Now, in the sense of a fissure disruption mission, do as normal, but before you complete the last one, make sure you grab all your reactant and then finish the mission. It's not too hard, it's not too complicated, it's just right. Alright, moving on to our next mission. It is called Hyjack. Now, this mission isn't hard, but there are a few things you will need to know. Now, you will get to the objective, and once you get to the objective, there will be either a rover or what looks like a bomb on a track. And you will need to stand next to it, or stand on it, and defend it as it is moving along. Now, this sounds a lot like mobile defense, but I will tell you this much, it is nothing like mobile defense, because the objective is eating away at your shields. So as you can see in the clip, I'm using Hildren, or a Warframe that will be able to regain shields. Now, I believe it is the rover will have a nullifier bubble. So doing this solo is possible, but if you do not have Warframe abilities. Now, they do not have a shield whatsoever, and each second will actually drain its own health. It is very highly recommended that you actually defend this thing as best as you can within staying next to it. You will know that it is moving along because your shields will be draining. You will see a beam connected to you and it, and most of the time you can just hop on it and just keep on going. This particular mission, there are doors that will have to be open, and it will stop and have to open the door while it continues. The only thing you have to worry about is not having shields. If this is the case, it will start going in reverse, and you do not want this. When it starts going in reverse, all the progress you just made is all going to unwind. So having a Warframe that is able to regain shields is definitely a boost. And now for the very last mission type, called Defection. This mission is a cross between a survival and a mobile defense. I really don't know how else to describe this better. It's probably better to say that it is the defense target where it's a guy moving around, but you have several. What you will need to do is you will need to escort these individuals to the safe area, and there will be a marked safe area. Now, as you can see, there's a little life support thing. It will heal them. And once they are all there, all healed up, they will move on to the next area. You have to tell them to move on to the next area, or they will not. And you need to escort them onto whichever area they're going to. There will be enemies that will drop what looks like the little batteries. You can go and put those into the quote-unquote life support systems for these people. Now, you don't have to. If you do have a frame like Trinity, the one I'm currently using, you can actually heal them. And you can also buff them, so if you do have someone like a Wisp, you can literally drop down a mote and it'll speed boost them and heal them. I'm not 100% sure about the healing, but definitely give them a speed boost to make this go a heaping hell of a lot faster. The only other thing you need to know about is you do not have to wait for them to come out on their own. As you can see in some of the footage, I actually go up to the computer and I tap on the screen and it tells them to come now, and they start coming right away. You can even see them on the mini map in blue. Now again, you can tell them to stop and do whatever. They do have their own guns, but they are running for their lives. Now I know that was a lot to do in the minimal amount of time that I can do this in. So I will make sure to put all of these particular ones in chapters. If you do have a question, please comment below. All of the Tenno, if you do want to help another brother out, definitely go for it. I am all for that good stuff. If you did like my way of doing without me being on camera, definitely comment below. I think it's something a little different. As much as I'd love to show my wonderful face on camera, sometimes I just don't want that. I will be doing more videos on different missions because I just scratched the surface. Honestly, I think there is only about 6 more. A few of them are from Railjack and a few of them are from a spoiler area, and I will tell you this much: if you know the area I'm talking about, it is the area right above the void. I will not say anything more, but you will find out this stuff after the new war. Other than that, I'm not going to go over the different kinds of bounties on the open world areas. Those are pretty straightforward. If I do feel the anger to make them, I will. But for the time being, I'm going to leave sleeping dogs lie. But if you did like this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification whenever I go live or upload a video. You will be the first to know. Until then, thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day and stay cool. Take care, everyone.